history and you look over the last 20 years and forget about Democrat or Republican. If you look at you can see Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, all the powerful Democrats, Obama, Hillary Clinton. They have all spoken about the way that other countries have these barriers for our products. I mean, if you go to Europe, you're not going to see too many American cars. If you go to China, you're not going to see hardly any American cars.
Right.
So, I mean, and it's not only cars, it's all kinds of products. And I'm not familiar enough, to say what products they are, but, they don't allow basically our products into their countries. You may not like the way that it's happening right now or the
Well,
unintended consequences with the stock market going down, but it is an issue. It's an
well,
issue that needs to be taken care of. And
yes
we've
and
talked
no.
about
It's
doing
two, but
something
it's
for
two
years and
sides.
years.
It's two sides of the same issue, though. It's like the post World War II economic regime has basically been fine. We won't sell as many cars to China, but we're going to get our T-shirts and hats made there, and then Thailand and and consumers are going to be able to buy cheap goods because they're built in factories that have to put like suicide nets out. Your iPhone made by Foxconn, like they've got nets because the workers are in such bad conditions that would never be allowable in the United States, that they have to have nets because they're going to kill themselves, how terrible it is. So
Well,
you
that's going to
can't
be the million dollar
compete.
question.
You
Are
can't
you going to be
compete
able to
on
bring
that.
manufacturing
But
back to our
but
country?
but even if you do bring it back to our country, it's not going to be in sweatshops. So are you willing to pay more for your iPhone? Are you
Probably
willing
not.
to
The
pay
answer is going to
more
be no.
for your t-shirts? Like, you know, like I joke, but you know, I like, the children in the other countries. They've got those fine stitching skills that adults can't do, and we've got all these child labor laws here in America, and it's like, no, the best sewing is done by those like 6-year-olds that can
Will we
really.
be able to bring automate factories back if robots are doing the work?
Absolutely. Because that's the whole point of why it went overseas in the first place, was cheaper labor. But I'm sorry, you may be the hardest worker uh, in the world. You cannot compete with a robot that doesn't take bathroom breaks, doesn't go to sleep, doesn't get hungry. Um, it's a big initial cost because the robot costs more than it does to just hire a human hourly, but economies of scale, and you build enough of the widgets, whether we're talking iPhones, whether we're talking, you know,
Yeah, but
t-shirts.
here's the issues with the factories. In the United States, in most places except very rural areas, they don't want factories. Nobody wants a factory in their neighborhood because of chemicals, because of smells, because of whatever hazards of
But we have
blowing up and
but
all the
we have
rest.
the
That's a
most
problem.
we have so much rural land in America. That's one thing we have an advantage over, Europe and the majority of the world. We have so much open space, and if we're going to have these factories that are, basically with robots, we don't have that problem. So we bring the factories, and if it's a type of factory that is emitting chemicals or smells, because like there's other factories, like we had Blomer's chocolate here in
Oh, that
Chicago,
smells good.
where that was putting out delicious chocolate smells, like that was a positive. But um we have space for it, and the robots are only going to take the high paying jobs first, which I mean the high ticket items. So robots building cars, robots building microprocessors, robots, um, again, the high cost items. Um, you're not going to immediately have robots making t-shirts just because there's not enough
Mm.
there's not enough juice to squeeze. So it's not worth the investment to have the robots, the really expensive robots making a cheap good. But really expensive robots making
So how does
expensive
this affect
products,
mortgage rates, mortgage man?
up, down, sideways, because everything gets connected and it becomes it becomes confusing, and I think myself in circles because you have, oh, on one hand you get the factories back in the United States and that's good for jobs, and then people have more money in their pocket, and
Yeah,
then
but how many
they're
years does it take to
spending
build a
more.
factory and plant it? You're talking about
Right,
five,
a,
six
a
years
long
down the
time.
line.
But then to contradict that, it's like, is it bringing jobs? Because if it's robots, um, so and then so are consumers, are people going to have jobs and more money, and they're going to want to buy houses and they're going to want to upgrade houses, or are they going to get their jobs replaced by robots and not have money and not have houses, and then housing prices go down. Um, and then you look at mortgage rates independently. Lower mortgage rates push housing prices up because housing becomes more affordable. When you have 2% rates, you can afford that $500,000 loan, versus at 8% rate, you can't afford that $500,000 loan. So it's it's like a formula that has inputs, like, there's a word for it, but it's like there's so many inputs going into it that are dependent on these other things within the formula itself, that it's just it's impossible, it's impossible to tell. And you've got these, you know 24-hour news networks, you've got d- news networks 100% dedicated to finance, that, I'm sorry, they don't know what they're talking about any more than you or I do, because none of it, like, really, it doesn't make sense. And it's like, the more you know, you and I being in the industry for this long, the more you know what you don't know, to quote, Donald Rumsfeld. And it's it's
The
like,
unknowns.
we know how much we don't know. We know all of that uncertainty. And the person telling you they do know what's happening, they're at a lower level of knowledge, because it's the curve of, when you don't know anything about something, you know the least. And then as you start to learn more and more about it, you reach the point where you feel like you're an expert at something. But then you start learning more about it, you now feel you know less about it than you did before, even though now you're even more of an expert at it. You've now learned about the things you don't know, and it makes you less certain about your predictions. Um, so, um, what am I leaving my customers with right now is, you find a property that you want to live in, you go to our mortgage calculator or you call us up and it fits within your budget, you go buy that. Um, our rate's going to be higher or lower a year from now. We don't know. But if it fits your budget today, you go buy that, because if rates go higher, you don't care because you have a fixed rate mortgage that won't go any higher on you. And rates go down, we will refinance you and take advantage of that lower rate. Um,
Should you be buying in this crazy market? In this crazy environment, I should say?
you have to do the analysis yourself, and yes,
Are you worried? Are
yeah.
you worried that
Warren
is
Buffett, as
Zach
Warren
worried that
Buffett
the
says,
world's gonna end?
when other people are scared, that's when opportunity presents itself. So if you are talking to your friends and they're all saying, I'm nervous in this environment, like I'm not going to buy until things calm down, hey, less competition for you as a buyer in the market. Because when those things calm down and all your friends are saying, now's the time I want to buy a house, guess who's going to be in a multiple bidding situation? And, um, you know, basically now you're buying at the wrong time. So it's like you kind of want to be swimming, be like the salmon and swim against the flow. Um, you know,
What's called swimming upstream.
Warren Buffett, buy when other people are fearful. And that doesn't mean blindly make stupid decisions, but if the value makes sense to you, don't pay attention to all this noise, that the fear mongering out there, because we have the mortgage calculators. We'll run the scenarios for you. You know how much your rent is costing you or is going to cost you, and you don't know how much that is going to go up. Like I was just talking to a client, his rent is going up 10% this year when he renews, and he's like, it went up 5% last year. It's going up 10% this year. I need to lock something in. And that is a way to get rid of one form of uncertainty that is completely out of your control, which is your landlord increasing rent, your landlord deciding to sell to somebody that now wants to live there. Um, it's one way you control your destiny, by owning your house or your condo and locking in a fixed rate payment, um, that can only go down via refinance. Um, so to me, it's a no-brainer to be looking, and not every house on the market is going to be a good deal for you or be fit your budget. But to not be looking and say, I am going to rent until the magic fairy waves their wand and somebody on television tells me it's safe to buy, um, you're going to be missing out, basically. I think right now is a very good opportunity for buyers. Long story short. What about you?
Okey doke.
Do you agree?
I don't know for sure.
Well, I don't know for
I don't
sure.
know.
I don't know for sure.
If I had to guess, in
But I
my
do
honest
know
opinion,
there's no downside to
in my opinion, and I've thought this for a while, but it hasn't happened. I think that housing prices are at levels that I don't think they can go up much higher. How's that? I just don't think they can go much higher. I also don't think that they can go very much. There's not going to be a crash. I don't think it can go
right,
that much lower
because
either, just because of the
how are they going to
supply and
build
demand
and building
factor
new
is a
houses,
problem. Exactly.
um, at a
The lack of supply
reasonable
continues.
price?
Right.
Um, and we are not talking stocks. And because if we were talking stocks and you're saying, I don't see them going much higher, that's something, okay, maybe you don't like invest in the stocks. But this is a place that you are going to live in. Um, it's out of the actual things you use and things you buy, you know, it's the most useful because, you know, you like you were just talking about a car, so useful, but you're never going to sell a car 5 years after you've bought it for more than the sticker price. Whereas that's a very real possibility with a house. Not going to happen with a television. Um, and stocks, you can't live in a stock. You can't. You can't. I guess you can print out
You
the
can live in an
certificate.
asset.
You could print out the certificates and build like a blanket fort, but you
Yeah, you
can't
could live in
use
an
them.
asset.
The home, a residence is something that you can live in while you are building wealth. And I don't know of any other thing that comes close to a residence when it comes to utility, as in being able to use it and maintaining value. Because everything else, I buy new boxers, and after a year of wearing
We don't
them,
want to really hear about your
I,
boxers.
I'd love to be able to sell those back, um, but they get used. Whereas a house 10 years from now, odds are it's going to be worth more than what you paid for it. I mean, that's the trend. Yes, there's ups and downs in markets, but values generally go up on real estate, historically speaking.
Absolutely.
And that's a fact, Jack.
That's the fact, Jack. Jack,
Um,
fact, Jack.
so I don't follow golf, but I heard some golfer that a lot of people like finally won the Masters. So
Yes, Rory McIlroy won the Masters.
McIlroy.
Yeah,
Um,
he'd been trying for a long time to get the Grand Slam, meaning the top four tournaments, and he needed to win
do you think
the
golf
Masters. He
is golf
finally
a, do
won.
you consider golf a sport,
Absolutely.
or is it just like an activity?
I think it's a sport, very hard sport.
I mean, it's hard, but it's not like running. Like you're not like physically
Well,
exerting yourself.
it could be very, it's,
It's like along with bowling. Like,
you
is it
have
a
to walk,
game?
you have to walk 18 holes. That's
Okay,
really, really far. It could
okay.
be really hot out.
There's 80-year-olds that are walking.
No, they're not. They're all taking the golf cart.
Yeah, I guess you're right. But but again, yeah, it's like it's walking. It's walking. Is bowling a sport?
Yeah, bowling's a sport.
Is chess a
Absolutely.
sport?
Yes.
Not a game.
Oh, I guess it's a game.
And
Is
that
chess a sport? I got to take that back. I'm going to say chess is not a sport.
what so
I say chess is not a sport. Bowling
so
is a sport.
what just the physical input for you
Physical activity.
is
I
what
think you
makes it a
need
sport.
physical
What about video
activity
games? What about
runs the
the
sport.
professional video game leagues?
I do
Are
not think that's a
are
sport.
those esports?
I don't think it's a sport.
Why? Twitch motions,
No
like
physical activity.
their fingers are moving a mile a minute.
Yeah.
Where do you draw the line, Barry?
If you're sitting on your butt, it's not a sport. How's that?
You heard it right here, Special Olympics. Barry does not consider wheelchair basketball or any of those, like,
No,
that's not
that's
fair,
not true
Barry.
because they are
You are
using
speaking on
they are
behalf of yourself and not Town Team Mortgage, because we are equal housing lender. Um, I don't
Yeah,
think just being
but
sitting
they are playing
down.
a sport. They're shooting a
I
basketball while
know
they're going
it's
around.
if you've watched watch some
And that's
wheelchair
very
basketball,
tiring.
it is and it's like violent. They're like crashing into each
Yeah.
other. Um, so yeah, I'm just I like playing the devil's advocate with you, Barry. Um, so I think I've gotten everything I wanted to talk about, like our website, which again you got to go there. We've got the free consultation like always, but now we have the free mortgage calculators. We've got the free home bot, whether you want to monitor your home value and equity in neighborhood, or you're just dipping your toes in the water and you want to see how the market is looking in any city that you are interested in. Um, so go to our website, sign up for that. Um, and you know, thank you for listening. Watch out because Barry does have a new vehicle, and he's going to be driving like a madman around
Very
the North
similar to my
Shore.
old one, so I'll be okay.
But so yeah, if you see a hatchback, a four-door hatchback that is unusually fast, um, that's going to be Mr. Sterner.
Woo-ah.
So, yeah, townteammortgage.com. I'm at 312-896-2114. You're at
Are you gonna have an
312
Easter egg hunt tomorrow or
896
no? No Easter egg
2110.
hunt for you on Sunday?
Two eggs, the price of eggs, I know they've gone down, but in my mind, I don't want to waste any eggs on
You don't
that.
want to waste your
Um,
eggs.
and we've finally made it text messaging. You can text me at 312-896-2114 or text Barry. Um,
At 312-896-2110.
yeah,
SMS terms and conditions apply. Oh, I like that.
yes, absolutely. You wouldn't believe it, the hoops that they made me jump through
You
to,
got it done.
yeah, but on our website, it's not pretty, but I have to put those SMS terms. And I was like, there's no way to explain to them we are not texting people like these automated unnecessary texts. Every text message is a custom text that I am typing to you as an individual. There is no like mass texting going on whatsoever. Um, but they don't understand that. They think we're going to be like spamming people, but whatever.
They'll figure it out.
Text
Have a
me
good
stop.
weekend. Happy Easter,
Yeah,
Keister.
have a good weekend.